Ruby and Alana, could you introduce yourselves, please, and where you're studying and what your role is here?
Sure. My name's Alana. I am a fourth year medical imaging student studying at the University of South Australia, and we are both student conference committee members.
My name is Ruby. I'm a nuclear medicine technologist who has just graduated from a Bachelor of Medical Radiation Science in Nuclear Medicine from the University of South Australia.
I was a part of the student ASMA student committee, like the student ambassadors. When this opportunity kind of showed up, I was like, this is brilliant. I kind of get to network a bit, kind of step my foot outside of the academic world of just, courses and things like that, and really get to see where my field can take me. And I think ASMA has opened so many doors for me in so many ways. I never would have even looked into the application specialist. Modality training, you see that, but there's just so many other avenues and things. And what was your question before, sorry?
Why you put your hand up for it?
Yeah, mostly just to kind of just step out of the academic world and into kind of the whole field of medical imaging and medical radiation science, because I'm aware it's not just medical imaging, but there are radiation therapists and nuclear med techs and then sonographers and all that.
Yeah, so the ASMA Student Conference is for students by students, and I think that's a large reason as to why I signed up. I think you hear so much about industry professionals and you get spoken to by your lecturers and you have guest lecturers, but to talk to students from a student perspective, these are people who are going through what you're going through right now, or they just went through what you're going through. So it's good to advocate for yourself and your peers and also talk to like-minded individuals in that. And also in the ASMA Student Conference, it's right next to the main conference as well. So we can talk to industry professionals in the room next door as well. So that was a large reason as to why I signed up.
So tell us about shaping the program then with all that in mind. What have you tried to do, and was it easy, and are you happy with it?
I'm happy with it. I feel like we've done a good job. We kind of got split into 4 groups in the initial planning. I put my hand up for the abstract group, so actually selecting sort of what abstracts go well and what we assume as students other students would like to hear about. So I thought that was a very awesome experience, really, getting to kind of read through what our peers are doing, and honestly I was just impressed. What I was most surprised about was just how incredible some of our peers are. People, some of the things that they've come up with, the topics they're researching into, you wouldn't even think about, and you're just it inspires. For students by students is a big thing, because I think even me, I feel very inspired by with my peers doing that. I can do that too, and I think that's what we want to do for all students, so we can really kind of advance the whole field of medical radiation science.
Definitely planning the conference was not easy. We have a conference committee and we have mentors, professionals in the field, but like Alana said, there's amazing individuals that are students and they achieve so much. So selecting who you want to present, but making sure that there's good representation across radiation therapy and nuclear medicine and radiography and sonography. It was so hard to select the presenters, but the ability to have poster presentations as well. And I think overall we've got a really good lineup. We've got local, interstate and international presenters, as well as some fantastic guest speakers this year as well.
I don't know how unusual she is, but ASMA President Carolyn Hayes is always raving about student papers at the conferences that I've been at. And she was like, look at the ones at this one. What stood out for you? Because there are some very contentious areas, there's some very delicate areas. What stood out?
In terms of the papers that were put forward?
Yeah, and those that you've selected.
I personally really like ultrasound. So ones that I found very interesting were, in our degree we don't look at ultrasound much like that. You kind of do further study and get into that. I liked that students weren't afraid to take on the sensitive topics like transvaginal ultrasound. I like that we just took it on board and it's no, this is something that we're all going to have to do. Making it some taboo, this or that, it segregates it a bit more. There's a bit more kind of taboo. There's a cloud around it that people get a little bit more afraid about. I think the fact that students can just take it on, address it, it opens it up to the light a bit more, and everyone becomes a bit more receptive to those things. It's no longer, grey area, we can't talk about that here and that. So I really liked when I was like looking at the abstracts and things like that, I really liked the ones that were more in your face, more like let's not hide away from it, let's not shy away from it. We are professionals and we're going to go into the field and we want all of our patients, because at the end of the day, this whole conference, everything is so we're better practitioners for our patients and just pushing patient-centric care. So if we can go into this field as better practitioners, our patients get better outcomes, and overall we're all kind of benefiting from it. So.
Similar to Alana, I love the boldness and I love the diversity of the presentations as well. You have new grads, you have second years, third years, fourth years, you have a range of specialties and disciplines, and everyone's here and congressing together, and the open discussions that come from the presentations as well. So the people you meet and the conversations you have after, and it just unlocks this new excitement for entering the field, and I think that's what being a student's all about. It's networking, it's meeting people, and it's falling in love with your discipline all over again, which is what the student conference is able to achieve this year.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, I don't want to quash that hope and excitement, but tell me about life as a student, and speaking particularly, there's a federal election announced today. We know that there are a lot of workforce issues that you'll be facing, and training issues during getting your degrees. Is that coming up in the student conference, or can you just talk to those issues anyway?
Did you want to start if you graduated?
Yeah, so I'm newly graduated and I'm working clinically now, and the workforce shortages are imminent and they're there day to day, you see it. And I think what was really difficult about being a student is the unpaid clinical placements that we do. We do a lot of clinical hours in medical radiation science, whether it's nuclear medicine, radiography, radiation therapy, and then you do further training if you want to become a sonographer. But in that undergraduate degree, you're doing intense clinical hours with no support from the government financially. So it's all out of your pocket. And I now mentor students, and it's having that conversation, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And they're like, oh, I'm working 12 hours on Saturday and 6 hours on Sunday. And they're burning themselves out on weekends so that they can meet ends meet through the week, and then they're coming to clinical placement and caring for these patients when they're not caring for themselves because they don't have the time or the funds to do that. So it's difficult to be a student, a med-rad student, and it's where you have to really rely on support from your peers and having understanding supervisors and mentors, because without that you just can't get by. With no funding from the federal government or anything like that. I know social workers and teachers are getting supported, which is fantastic, but we're also frontline and we're backline and we're everywhere in between, and we need that support as well.
Definitely.
And do you think it has an impact on retention, recruitment, all of that? Should people realise that, or how does it work for you? Does it come as a shock when you are studying?
Yeah, I think it's quite... The first time we saw that like, oh, social workers, teachers and nurses are getting it, it was a bit disheartening. It was like, okay, like what are we doing? Are we less than, or what, like that? It wasn't a great feeling, but I think what I deal with a lot, like at my job as well within the uni, is people having to defer because they need to look after we have mature age students as well. They need to look after their child, or they can't support their household, so they can't do this 6-week block because it's not, or because we do 6-week blocks. We also have 9 weeks split into 3 and 6 because they can't afford to do that. And then that's really just not fair on certain students. There's a bit of there's no equity there, no equality, because some students are able to go through all 4 years. I'm fortunate enough to still live at home and be supported by my family, but even now I'm currently on a 6-week placement and I haven't been able to work, and it's really taken a toll in other areas of my life. Like if I'm going out with friends, it's like, oh, can we, maybe do something else and not go out and get dessert, or go get a big fancy dinner because, I'm gonna feel it later. Like it's definitely going to. And this is just my first 6-week block, and I'm already feeling like, okay, I've got to transfer from my savings into, so I can buy things here and there. I have to pay for petrol to get to placement every day. Even if it was just like a little cover, just to, to know that the government kind of has our back, or somebody is looking out for us, somebody does see us, and it's like we see you're doing everything you can, and at the end of the day, like, we're getting this degree and we're getting these jobs for the betterment of all society, really. Like, we want to help. That's why we've gone into this degree. And it's just not kind of having that support behind us as well, where it gets a little bit disheartening, a little bit like, okay.
Yeah, I think it does affect retention as well in the degree. Placement builds gradually, so in your final year we're doing 24 weeks of clinical placement. There's no time for anything else really, so if you're not set up for that and you don't have that support and that funding, getting through that time, especially as Alana said, we've got mature age students, people who are caring for families, we've got people who are still in their teens who are living out of home, and it's exactly what she said, there's no equity, you know, we're all in that same boat and people are doing it much worse than other people, and you need to support your peers and advocate for that as well.
Yeah. And they're kind of expected to, you know, get the same, and then it can become disheartening for them because you're going up against somebody, like at the end we are all kind of trying to achieve our best in like GPA and grades and things like that, because we have the assignments on top, and it's almost like I'm feeling like I'm struggling and I just can't meet these deadlines and things like that, where somebody else is having that, maybe that support somewhere else, like through family members or things like that, or just funding, because I know they do scholarships for like rural placements and that, but even then I had to go into state for one of my placements because there weren't enough spaces here, and I did 3 weeks in July and 3 weeks in December, and I was out of pocket both times, like by a lot. And then when I did go for my first 3 weeks, I was just trying to find the cheapest accommodation I could find. And then when I got there, I realised that wasn't a good idea because I wasn't in the safest area, and I had kind of planned to walk to my placement site all the time. So it was like, I had people tell me like, oh, if you want to go out at night, maybe don't go out after dark. And I was like, oh, what? Like, that's not really what I want to hear. But and I was still paying out of pocket. Yeah, I was like, I shouldn't. And so the next time I was like, you know what? I'll spend a bit more and I'll do this and that. And I'm so fortunate that I'm in a position to be able to do that because I did work quite a lot through first year. But I don't think that should really happen at all. I shouldn't be told you can't go out this time because you're not in the best area because it's cheaper. But, you know, I'm here.
They're very powerful messages for government, aren't they, of both colours?
Hopefully.
So you're going back now into the end of the student conference. What are the key takeaways you're looking for, and is there anything else that you'd like perhaps the wider profession to know about what you've picked up through this conference?
I think just that the future's bright for medical radiation science. It's such an evolving and growing field, and I know there was a time where people kind of thought radiology was stagnant or AI is going to take all the jobs and all of this, but it is so evolving and the collaboration is there and there's advancements every single day, and it is such a great time to enter the field, and the patient care has never been better. You know, it's evolving, and hearing the inspiring talks of our guest presenters, and it just makes you so motivated to keep doing what you're doing. And I think that's the big takeaway. It's that we're entering at a great time. We have so much to look forward to in our careers.
For sure. I say the same. I feel like we are all pretty motivated despite setbacks and issues like placement poverty and things like that. It's so like inspiring to see so many people still so motivated to just keep going and just continue to expand the field. There's so much work to be done. There is so, like, you think you've cracked one thing and then you're at the base of another mountain. Like, it is incredible how much work there is and how many avenues there are. Like, definitely would recommend it to anyone thinking about it. Love it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, and have a really good conference then.
Thank you.